Welcome back to another episode of Live in the Moment, where I'm joined today by another group of legends in the making. And this episode is a little special because I have all Hoopers that are going to be joining me today. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves one by one. Just name where you're from and where you recently played. And I'll start with the man who came a little late today.
Oh, fashionably late as usual. But LaTerrance Reed from Buffalo, New York. Graduated from Canisius, went to Northwestern State, in trip as well with Zumi. Me and him played in the backcourt for 2 seasons. Just got done playing my second year pro in the Ukrainian Super League.
My name is Greg Dolan from Williamsville, New York. Spent my undergrad at Cornell and then did my grad year at Loyola Chicago. And then just moved back a little while ago and might keep playing overseas and kind of figuring it out now.
Ticket Gaines from Buffalo. Well, Davonte Gaines, but I go by Ticket Gaines from Buffalo. I spent my undergrad at Tennessee and George Mason, and then I spent my last year, my grad year at Providence. And right now I'm just looking for opportunity, pro. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Donel Cathcart from Buffalo, New York. Cardinal O'Hara, NCCC as well, like LT said. Then after that, Youngstown State. Then I played in Armenia and Portugal recently.
All right, so we got some people still playing, trying to figure out what's next. Maybe some adulting things coming in the near future. I hate that for you, but nonetheless, all Hoopers, which I think is pretty unique because I was one of the many people watching the recent NBA Finals, screaming at the TV. So I'm kind of curious, just a light open here. First of all, do we have any Mavs or Celtics fans in here at all? No? Okay. I mean, we are in Buffalo, New York, so maybe not. But you guys watched it, right? I'm assuming. Please tell me why the Mavs could not get it together another year here.
It's too much. The Celtics.
It was too much to handle.
The Celtics was just too much, as a team.
It was a mismatch for them. They ain't had no real. I think the Celtics won with their bigs. Like, they were too much. Like,
that's fair.
It's too much. They
I'm
can
most
spread the
upset
floor.
about Kyrie. No one else feels that way. I just feel
No,
like
Kyrie, that's my guy,
that.
so I can't.
I can't talk like that. But
okay, we're not gonna disrespect it. I
But
just,
You got a point, though, but again, when you got somebody like Luka that's a special offensive juggernaut like he is, but on the defensive end, he's getting blown by 65% of the time, you kind of help and scramble when the defense, you know what I'm saying, when he gets that second level defense. So I think that's part of the game that they missed the most. I think they could have played with him. Obviously, the scores got bad a couple games, but there was some games when they played close, and the one game that they won. Yeah, so if you just account for the defensive end with him, I think you're in a different state, and I think you're in a different level of playing field once you actually got to sit down and guard somebody.
I think especially with that, like you got, like you said, Luka not guarding, and then the Celtics make the right play every time. So it's like no matter who's open, they don't give him the ball. So maybe that rotation that you got away with in the postseason that players not making, they making that play every time. So and then I think Al Horford was a big deal in them because he was able to make shots, and then he was driving their bigs off the bounce. It was just
and they couldn't hit no threes too. Like Tim Hardaway, I thought he could have played a bigger role, but especially everybody in the Celtics hitting threes from Drew, Kristaps,
that's a fact.
Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Threes worth more than two. So.
That's right. Yeah, I think Celtics just bench overall. Like it kind of just felt like it was Kyrie and Luka against the whole Celtics, and when one of them wasn't like playing 110%, it got ugly. So
for sure.
I was just interested. Like I said, I was like, dang, I was trying to like help the Mavs, and they had me up till like 11 because it starts at 8:30 on this side, Eastern time. So I was like, did I just stay up late to watch this blowout? Basically,
same boat.
We all did. Okay.
I was in Texas yelling at the TV because Kyrie should have did more, but.
Yeah, all right. I guess next year. I don't know, but who's your guy? Who's your guys? I mean, there's no NBA team here. The closest is the Raptors, but who's your guys' teams?
I haven't really been a teams guy. I mean, I was always Kobe was like my biggest guy growing up that I loved. So I was always like kind of default like Lakers fan, but never really gravitated towards like a New York team. So I more so just love watching the players.
Who's your team?
Well, Donel could tell you. I call him Zumi, but he could tell you. Me and him been arguing since high school. Wherever KD goes, he goes. And wherever LeBron goes, I go. So we argue wherever they go. But I guess I've been a Heat fan because my dad's from Florida, and I grew up kind of watching them. And so D-Wade was one of my first favorite players, so I guess I'll be the Heat fan for now. But LeBron, wherever he goes to, I'm there.
I miss that duo for sure.
Yeah,
What
I
about
mean,
you?
like he said, wherever KD goes, that's where I go. But I'm originally like a Clippers fan because they used to be the Braves, and the Braves was from Buffalo. So like,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So if I had a team, it'd be the Clippers.
So everybody's team let them down this year. That's okay. Mine too. I'm a Warrior fan, so that's personal.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That might be all right next year though. That might get PG.
What they gonna do in the draft tonight?
What they got? I think they got like 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
They get PG and get the right pick.
He
Might have something over there.
My
Keep
boy
Clay.
about to go to
They're getting
Houston.
older, so they need to
PG?
get some.
Nah, he not good in Houston.
Okay,
He not good.
He said he happy with the sign. He said it's over. The GM said it's over.
All right,
did.
so I kind of want to transition a bit because it's such a hot topic right now, which is women's hoops. I feel like even if you don't follow like women's college basketball or the WNBA, you know who Caitlin Clark is, you know Angel Reese, you know the LSU's, storyline there, you know who the South Carolina team is and all that kind of stuff. But just kind of picking your brains a little bit, just because, like I said, I got a couch full of hoopers here. What do you guys think is kind of making women's hoops like hot right now? Like they're selling out arenas with something I have never, or literally they're making history right now.
It's Caitlin Clark.
Is that? Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is
She changing the game.
is-
She I feel like she like the Michael Jordan, the women's.
That's fair.
Like for real. Like just because like you just said, don't nobody really pay attention to women's hoops until now. And it's
Yeah, that's fair. I think one of the things that kind of bothers me, Caitlin Clark, I know that's her name, but also like Angel Reese, it seems like if you guys I don't know if you guys really pay attention to it, but when Caitlin Clark had like her first game, she didn't do that great. She was kind of getting like beat up a little bit, but like she's a rookie. Like I feel like they expect her to like go in, and I don't know. Like to me, it's just crazy because the women aspect of it, like if someone pushes someone down, it's just like, oh my gosh, she's insane. But if one of you guys were to do it, it's cool. You get a tap and you go back in. So,
I mean, I kind of look at it twofold is when you see it like that, because I think obviously all of us here, except for Greg, is African American. But I think it's weird how they try to play a race card within it, because I think it's just basketball at the end of the day. Like we've seen Greg come to the Kim Bailey at 10 o'clock at night and play with us. And just as how they just playing. It's just basketball. Like, we don't look at it as, she's Caucasian or she's black. And I think they all are bringing some of the dynamics in the game. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is the household name. Like, she's a really household name. Angel Reese is off the court as well. She's doing so much for women as far as speaking out, being outspoken, and just putting that brand out there just as a woman, which a lot of people were scared to do years ago or, even up to this point. So I think it's just sweet how she's doing that off the court, and Caitlin Clark's doing it on the court, and then she's doing it on the court as well. She just had a super game. So
Crazy game.
Yeah, so
I thought you watched that game.
I was impressed. I'll be honest. I didn't think her skill was up to par to play in the WNBA at that position, because you got the Brianna Stores, you got the Asia Wilson, you got that position.
She a dog, though, bro.
Yeah, she a dog. But something you can't teach.
That's half the game, bro.
Yeah. So I think honestly, like, just look at the game. I think you take the race thing out of there. You just take just hoopers hooping. They just hoopers at the end of the day, like us. They hoopers. They just want to hoop, and they good hoopers. So I think it's obviously tremendous what's going on for them. But
yeah, I think it's also like opened up just a whole new like audience for that game. Like I've had 2 younger sisters who have played like college basketball, so I've always watched them a lot. Watched, my mom coached here, so like watched a lot of women's basketball. But like I was in the grocery store like a week ago, and it was like this, older lady who didn't really seem like she followed the game much, but she was just talking about the different teams, the different players now in the WNBA, and she was like so excited to like, like go watch a game, and I feel like that's what's been awesome to see, is just the game being grown, and like, a lot of these like young stars have a lot more years ahead of them where it's gonna, I feel like it can really explode like for the future, and almost in a way like kind of partner up with certain NBA teams in their cities. And in that WNBA there's only like I think like 12 teams right now.
Yeah,
so
I think
like
12.
Even expansion's like a big thing I think they've been talking about.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because I think some of these NBA players have been very supportive, and you kind of see them like, going to the games and sitting, courtside and things like that. But I'm just kind of interested and I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, right? But this is kind of coming from a former woman athlete type of background that I have, and I feel like the game has changed so much. So I'm just kind of interested from you guys, like, how do you, who's someone, you know, doesn't have this huge platform, but how can you guys kind of keep this going? Like, what do you think, not maybe you individually, but just men in your position that could be doing to kind of, you know, keep this trending up so it's not just the Caitlin Clark carrying it on her back, if that makes sense?
I think the biggest thing is just like, I mean, just continue to do what like men in our position been doing, like supporting the WNBA, not to do it just because it's cool, but like to actually like support. And I think like a lot of NBA players that's doing that thing is doing it for the right reasons and not just to get put on camera and stuff like that. But I think they go hand in hand with the men and also the women. Like Greg said, I think the WNBA died down a little bit because like a lot of the players were getting older. But like you have like a pool of younger players right now who like are all household names, who are like South Carolina, they're 35, 38-0 this year, like for the last couple of years. Dawn Stanley, she's doing a great thing at South Carolina, whereas like she's producing these players year after year. Then you got adding Caitlin Clark, then you add in Angel Reese, then you add in Cardoso went to South Carolina. Just those like it's like a lot of players right now who are young, and everybody want to see them on social media, things like that. So I think players being young right now is really what's pushing it. You know, obviously, Caitlin Clark did what she did in college, and the players that got drafted this year did what they did. So it kind of go hand in hand.
Too that we didn't say. Juju and Paige, they are on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Juju is
Juju is on. Yeah, she's a beast. Definitely.
I watched her play their last game, whoever they played. She went crazy.
She's good.
I can't remember who they play though.
And I think all the changes to like college athletics now, I think that's like gonna help a lot, like in terms of the women's game and like having that like NIL ability to like market themselves. Like a lot of the players that came into the WNBA and got drafted like already had like, you know, whether it was brand deals or like a big following like coming out of college. So I feel like that's only going to get bigger as the years go on.
Yeah, the NIL is definitely, I feel like it comes up in every conversation because the game has changed, but you guys have played more recently than I have. But how have you seen it change? And do you guys kind of like know anybody like personally that it's kind of like helped them, I guess?
Yeah, I know a few buddies from different sports and including basketball that really rack up on the NIL. Especially if you can market yourself pretty well, you can make a good dollar from NIL. But I think it's due. I think it was old. I mean, obviously the NCAA made a lot of money off of players for years. Not saying it's right or wrong because I don't got anything against the NCAA. I'm out of NCAA now, but I think it's only fair. Like using my name and using my image on billboards and selling my jersey, why can't I not get some revenue or get some profit off of that? Which I think is amazing now. When you get to a dollar amount of different players and, you know, people that are making money, then that's when things get tricky. But I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was just recently in college, obviously. And I think it's really just, I mean, I think they will regulate it soon, just the way things been going, especially at like a high level. Seeing that, like, Power 5 schools is just like, kind of got crazy at the end of like the last year and a half. So I think regulations will come, but like LT said, I think it was owed to the players, owed to the people who put the work in and wasn't seeing money from that. And I saw like something else coming out about like players going back to 2016. Like, I don't know if they passed it or not, but yeah, I think that's all good because like without the players, like the school wouldn't have those things. Like when these small schools were making runs, they're gonna be able to pay their players. Like maybe they couldn't pay them before, but like a school like, can't remember school went on a crazy run like a couple of years ago. It was a small school, but like those players probably wasn't getting paid nothing. And now they have like the revenue to do that. So I feel like, I mean, it was in due time that they were supposed to get that.
Yeah, I feel like it could go either way. Good, you can find good, you can find bad in anything, especially when it's new. Like you said, I think there has to be more like regulations because then you're getting into like the betting and that comes. I've seen people like. I've covered that they're sitting out now in the NFL because it's going back when they were in college that they were betting and not even on their games, but it was against the rules. You know what I mean? I know I was recently at Canisius, ironically enough, and when I looked at the roster after the season, you know, they just hired a new head coach. I looked at the roster, they had one person on the roster, and that's because the transfer transfer portal just opened up and everybody just took off to, chasing the bag, if you will. And when I was talking, like asking more questions, they were saying that, they basically have like this big check to give like that star, but it's like, do you give it to that one or do you like kind of, So I'm glad I'm not the one having to make those types of decisions, because it does change the game. And like, I think even like we were talking about, joking about KD, right? We're used to that at the pro level, not at the college level.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to reach out to the NCAA because I need some back. My face is on a lot of billboards. I need, and a lot of jerseys that were #1 were being sold. So I need them some money back. I don't know what it is. We got to come to the
I'm telling you, it was like a law. I can't remember what it was. It was like a law. It said back to 2016. You saw that, right?
They trying to go back.
I got 3 schools to call.
I need me. I need me.
I'm done. He's typing up a to whom it may concern letter after
swear.
this to see what's going on out there. That's fair.
Got a couple schools I need to call.
People
cool,
shouldn't
though.
be struggling to eat, to pay, to buy clothes type of things. But I also don't feel like people should be rolling up in Rolls Royces at college either. So they got to find.
Well, that's the thing. Like
balance.
you seen Shabazz Napier in 2014 say, "We the hungry Huskies." Like he was struggling to eat, and that's a guy who just won a national championship. Like literally, like I remember watching Shabazz downtown at HBC Arena, and if you telling me Shabazz Napier, who was All-American, Player of the Year, first-round draft pick, struggling to eat, and y'all just won national championship, and y'all don't know how much money they made off of the UConn Huskies. We got a problem. So I'm glad they fixed it somehow.
When it covers that gap, like, we all know how hard it is to like make it to the highest level, like the NBA, like the NFL, any sport, like it's so slim once you get to that chance. So like, there's a lot of players who like should be, like compensated, and that could go a long way, like in the future. Rather than having to like, feel like they have to make it to, obviously everyone's ultimate goal, like the NBA or something.
But like you said, only a small
like be able to still
percentage is gonna do that,
capitalize during that short period of time you have to,
That's a fact.
make the most of it.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, because like they need to reel it in, but also like make it fair. So like I said, I'm glad I'm not the one making those decisions. But just keeping the conversation going, we kind of like skipped over it just a little bit. I asked where you were from and where you played, but I just kind of want to dive a little bit each so we can get to know a little bit more about the U, because obviously you guys are all from here or close to Buffalo when I say here. But I'll start with you, Greg, just because I know you have it's kind of different, like the Ivy League. I don't think we've had too many people here with that that's been able to have that type of experience. So just kind of talk to us about the transition, from your background here and then in playing the Ivy League.
Yeah, it kind of worked out organically. Like I was lucky enough after my time at Will South to go take a year of prep at NMH, and had a great experience there. Basically, some other guys have done prep, like middle of nowhere, like it was basketball in school that you were doing. And just really had me like lock into really what I wanted out of my next step or college. And yeah, Cornell was a place that I like saw a great fit for me. And, kind of just went with it. And it was different because it, like the Ivy League's the only like Division I like league that still like is basically like tuition, like financial aid tuition plays into it. Like it's not full rides.
Gotcha.
So it was unique. Like I spent a lot of my summers like, here, like working, and during the summer, we wouldn't have summer school. So you'd like work and then, use that to like pay your way through school in a way. And I was really fortunate, but it just worked out. And I loved like being surrounded by not only a ton of student athletes who were like very driven, but like you'd see a bunch of other students, who were, obviously amazing in what they were doing, in the classroom and pursuing other interests and passions. And you would just learn a lot from how everyone else kind of went about their business. And I thought that was a unique perspective to have as an athlete. It's like everyone's chasing something. And it could be basketball, it could be a different sport, it could be, studying to be a doctor or lawyer. And it was cool to see everyone kind of like rally around each other, just buy into it.
I think when I think of Ivy League, just even as a kid, I always just thought like those people are really smart. Like academics is the first thing I thought of. I never really thought about like, oh, I want to go play. I always thought it was like an academic thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a big balance. Like, like I spent this past year at like Loyola Chicago for my grad year, and that was awesome playing in the A10 and but like the shift towards that was a lot more basketball focused versus at Cornell, like you were doing a lot of both. Like you were studying a lot and then you were going right to the court, like so. It was looking back on it, it was hard, but it was it was worth it.
And then take a deep dive into you a little bit. Like, how'd you get to playing at the next level?
Well, yeah, I went to health science when I went here, and then after my senior year, I went prep school, Hargrave Military Academy, which really taught me a lot of discipline things went into that. Waking up at 6 a.m., having to have your full uniform on, making sure your bed's folded correctly, your closet looks like it was like a crazy situation that, like I said, it taught me a lot, and that kind of helped me with my transition to college. I ended up choosing Tennessee for my first 2 years. And that kind of came about, like, I guess organically too. Coach Lanier from Buffalo, and I ended up meeting him at like my high school because his niece went there, so it was kind of random. And he's like, "We have this elite camp. You want to come down and play? You want to come down and like play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come down." So I flew down there, played in an elite camp, played really well. I ended up getting an offer right after the camp, and like I was on the way back home. I was thinking like should I wait? Should I commit? But I was like, it's Tennessee. Like, what am I waiting for? So it was like, so I kind of just committed, and I think me going to Tennessee really taught me a lot. It was just different, being away from home. I was already at Hargrave, but like being away from home in college on your own, having to handle things as an adult was really like eye-opening for me personally. But yeah, I enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot, and I kind of took that into my next step. I went to George Mason, which is in Virginia, which is an A10 as well. I think everything I learned at Tennessee really helped me for my junior and senior year because I was more mature, I was older, and I was able to do some things on the court that I learned from Tennessee that I might not got to show because I wasn't playing as much. And I went from I didn't play much my sophomore year, and then I went to playing like 38 minutes a game and things like that. So I think I was learning as I was playing, but also things I took from my old school. I took there, and then obviously my last year, I was deciding if I wanted to try to go pro after my senior year or find a school for my grad year. And my coach ended up getting a job at Providence, so I think it was a no-brainer. Yeah, it being a historical school that it is, a lot of people came through there. So I think everything happened naturally for me, but it's been a learning curve all 5 years. I learned stuff in year 5 that I didn't know year 1, and things like that. So I think I appreciate my time in college because not many people had the chance to go 5 years, and then also at the universities I went to was really helpful for me too.
College, we were talking about that recently at my job, and I was like, that was the only time I was broke and happy was in college. Like those experiences, if I could go back, I'd go back for sure. So my friend who came a little tardy for good reasons though, tell us a little bit, from here to the next level for you.
Well, the next level is in pro or college?
College.
Yeah, college. I mean, I went to Canisius High School for all 4 years, did really well there. I got offered to go to Niagara University out of Canisius, but I didn't go. Went to prep school in Salisbury, Connecticut, the Salisbury School. Like kind of Ticket said and Greg said, it kind of taught me, focus and balance. I was fresh 18, wasn't disciplined, used to being at home, a little babyish. So it taught me either, if you want to play basketball, be a man, you got to be a man. So it worked out for me, but it didn't work out how I wanted to work out. Like, I wanted this story to be my story. Like, I wanted to go Division I. That was always my goal. So I ended prep school with like 22 Division II offers. And then I'm like, nah, I don't want to go Division II. I want to go Division I. It's ironic because Zumi at the time was a red shirt at NCCC. And he was recruiting me to come. And with Coach Beeline, like, yo, come to JUCO. We can do something really special here, which ended up happening. So I went there. I think our sophomore year, we were top 10 in the country in scoring in backcourt. He was an All-American. I think I was like top 5 in minutes played. I think led the country in steals. He went Division I. I think he had over 10 Division I offers, and I had like 5+ Division I offers. And I went to Northwestern State after. Did really well there. it was a learning experience, but it also taught me because if I can go from Buffalo, New York to the middle of nowhere, Connecticut, I can go to the middle of nowhere, Louisiana, and still perform and play.
Right.
And then I got the opportunity to play at the next level.
And what's your nickname for him? I keep hearing
Zoomy.
Zoomy.
Yeah.
All right, Zoomy, you've been quiet. We gotta know. Just give me a little quick snip from here. Going to play.
Did y'all graduate the same year in high school?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Bro?
Yeah.
What, 17 or 16?
15.
15.
Yep.
15.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, I went to Cardinal O'Hara, so like when I heard about JUCO, like I didn't even know what JUCO was. Like I'm like JUCO, like what is that? Doing like that's Division 1, 2, 3? Like I didn't know. Like I didn't really take basketball serious for real until I was probably like a senior. Like that's when I feel like I was like I knew how to hoop, but like I didn't really get good to like my junior year. So that's when I really started taking things serious, like my senior year. So Coach Beeline, he came, talked to me and stuff, and everybody was just like, yeah, you want to do that? But I was just hearing, I'm like, oh, no, I want to go prep. Because my thing was I want to go Division 1 too. Like, that's what I felt like I was good enough to play Division 1. So I'm like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. And once again, I didn't know what junior college was. So I'm like, I can't go Division 1 from there. But I learned things and, found out certain stuff. So I went to NCCC my first year. I basically treated it like a prep school year. Like I ain't qualified to even play Division 1. Like you ain't got the grades. Like like yeah. So really, that's where I became a man at. Like I had to learn certain stuff and things like that. And my after my freshman year, my second year when I actually played, I could have left. And I could have went to Longwood, but once again, my grade still wasn't right. So that was like a learning experience for me. And after that year, I took things like a lot serious. Got my grades up. Offers started coming. I went to a couple camps for JUCO. Then that's when I went to Youngstown State. And like I felt like I learned a lot from JUCO because once I graduated on the dean's list. Mm-hmm. So it's like a lot from that. I learned a lot just from JUCO and stuff like that. Yeah,
I'm a JUCO girl too, so I definitely built myself up and saved a lot of money. So I'm a fan of JUCO all through and through. But I kind of just, it's impressive. Everybody has their own journey, right? And everybody was able to make something out of themselves with the resources that are in Buffalo. But I just wanted to touch on it. And we spoke about it briefly about a very serious, topic here. There was a 3-year-old named Ramon Carter here from Buffalo that was recently shot and killed, kind of caught in the crossfire. His sister, 7 years old, currently fighting for her life as well. And I think the first initial thought is kind of like anger, right? Like these are kids obviously just playing, but also what was triggering for me personally is when I heard that there was a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old now basically going to be in jail over half their lives because they were the ones who were firing these weapons. So many things had gone through my mind is how do they get them, right? Why are they so mad that they're like shooting or whatever may have you? But I bring this up, and I know it's a heavy topic, but I feel like it has to be talked about because we are here and we are talking about sports and we're talking about resources and we're talking about going to the next level. But not everybody gets there, right? Like again, 14 and 16-year-old, like if you just let that sit, it's insane. But how do you guys, I guess we're gonna kind of end it with some advice, right? Because I just threw something really heavy. But this is why we're here, is to bring that avenue for people from this community to be playing sports, to do positive things, and to be able to sit up here with me one day, or whoever's in this seat and just tell their story. What is some advice for someone here in Buffalo trying to get to where you're at? How do you stay on track and not get distracted from the outside noise, if you will? And I'll start with the end.
I think it's cool to do the not cool thing. That's what you think about when you think about things like this. Like, all of us up here had to go through a route that we probably didn't think we would go through, as far as didn't want to go to certain school, or didn't want to do certain things because our friends weren't doing certain things. Like, I know, for example, me and him went to private school, so, we had to stay later and do homework when our friends were going outside to play. I know Ticket went to prep school in Hargrave, and Greg said he went to Cornell. We had to sacrifice at one point, and it's cool to do that because now look at us, like we put ourselves in position to not only take care of our family playing basketball, but through degrees. Like when basketball is over with, we'll have a Cornell and a Loyola Chicago degree. We'll have a degree from Providence and George Mason. He has a degree from Youngstown. I have a degree from Northwestern State. And that's just defying the odds through playing a game that we just love to play our whole lives. And not everybody gets the opportunity, but everybody gets the opportunity to go to school. Everybody gets the opportunity to sit in the classroom. Everybody gets the opportunity to make themselves be something different than what they see on TV. So if I give any advice to anybody that's young or that's, thinking that they're trapped, obviously you can talk to somebody, but obviously understand that it's always a light at the end of the tunnel wherever you're at. And that'd just be my advice.
Don't be afraid to not be cool, basically.
For real, yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Because that's the cool
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because you end up being a cool guy. Like, if you walk in this room right now, you bring somebody here, they be like, oh, these guys cool. They play basketball. But it wasn't cool for us to go work out at 9 o'clock when everybody else was going to a party. You know what I'm saying? It ended up being cool because we ended up being successful. So.
Before we wrap up, anybody else want a little piece of advice for the youngins?
I say really it's like just be yourself. Like just speaking from my experience and growing up in that type of environment, like I got friends who then either lost their life to death or in jail for 20 years. Like, so it was cool to do certain stuff back then, but now you look back at it and it's like certain people, they can't look back, or you know what I'm saying? So it's really like be yourself. Like if you know you want to do this or do that, it's whatever you want to get out of life. Like, that's really it.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys left with some very good advice. And like I said, I know it's heavy, but I felt like it's so relevant now and it's just touched a lot of people, right? So I just wanted to kind of end on that note. But I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to kind of share your journey, your thoughts, again, your advice. And I hope that this touches somebody in the right way. But that's going to do it for the episode today. Until the next time.